we'll move on. Our next thing going into football. What did you say?
It's just LeBron James talking about basketball, the bubble, and
Okay.
like the whole BLM movement and how
Okay.
that all went down. That's
Oh,
all.
okay. Okay.
That's
So
all.
just a good conversation.
Yeah.
Next thing we're looking at, Dave, is the Steelers played yesterday. And
Unfortunately,
unfortunately, hey man, Juju won you your game, right?
I won one, lost another.
Yeah, one lost the other. You and I are now playoff opponents for the next 2 weeks in the MVP league. But the reason why we're bringing up the Steelers today is it was yet another game where before the game, everyone was thinking, all right, Steelers are gonna fucking kill the Ravens, Dave. No Lamar Jackson, no Mark Andrews. On top of those two, the Ravens have a million other players that are out via COVID. Like, this should have been a game that, like, when I watched the Pat McAfee show yesterday, Mark Slarett said, he's like, so what do you got today? He goes, oh, Steelers by 20. Steelers should kill the Ravens. Well, they didn't, Dave. It was a 19-14 game. Mike Tomlin had this to say after the game. It was really junior varsity, to be quite honest with you. It was all in 3 phases. We couldn't run the ball effectively. We needed to. We dropped too many significant passes, very catchable, makeable passes. We didn't make significant plays in the special teams game. Our kickoff coverage unit wasn't good enough. We turned the ball over. We gave up big plays and big crucial moments on defense. Can't have it. Now, most people are thinking the Steelers have a really good chance in their next 4 to go undefeated, Dave. To be the third team, but second team since the Patriots in our lifetime to go undefeated in the regular season and begin your quest or their quest for a perfect season overall. The question I want to throw out, though, is are the Steelers good enough to not even win the Super Bowl to make it to the Super Bowl, Dave?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, the whole complaint is they play down to bad teams. Well, you know what? They don't play bad teams in the playoffs. So doesn't that kind of defeat that whole thing?
See, but I'm looking at it to where, like, I don't think it's not. This isn't a Baker Mayfield thing or a reverse Baker Mayfield thing.
Baker only beats bad teams.
Yeah, this isn't the reverse Baker of like, oh, they played down because like they played the Titans and the Titans weren't a bad team and they started like to me. I feel like this team, if they don't do something, and I'm not saying like it's not Mike Tomlin's fault. Usually in the past I've blamed Mike Tomlin, but like I absolutely love that he threw his team under the bus here and said basically he did this was Bush League. Yeah, this was Bush League.
Said it out loud.
And like the thing that I fear is if I'm a Steelers fan, I would be kind of worried because in the playoffs, depending on what happens, because it looks like with the COVID stuff, the NFL might step in and say we're going to go to 8 playoff teams on each side because they've made that like statement a few weeks ago of depending on how games are canceled and moved around, they may add an additional playoff team, which would mean the Steelers would have to play in their first round game. That opponent, as of right now, if the season ended, would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'd be the Raiders. So they play the Raiders. If they start slow in that game, they could possibly win against the Raiders. But like the next game, if they're playing either the Titans, the Bills, or the Chiefs, like I look at any of those teams, more so the Titans and the Chiefs, and I go, if there's a AFC championship game between the Steelers and then the Chiefs or the Titans, I may have to go against the Steelers because if they start out slow for another game or in that game, Patrick Mahomes can start out quick. That Chiefs team can basically, boom, make it a 2-score, 3-score deficit before you even have time to blink. And then the Titans right now, they're a team that it seemed like, oh, they're going to slope, they're going to like go down. And then Derrick Henry is now reemerged. And that team looks like they're on the way up right at the right time leading in. So like I look at the Steelers and I go, I don't think they are good enough to win the Super Bowl, not even get there, because I think when they play the Chiefs, play the Titans, they're going to get outdone in the playoffs because they're going to start out slow and have to be playing catch up the majority of the game.
Is there something about them where you think that their offense can't function in the first quarter or first half of a game? Or
No, it has nothing to do with like, oh, they need this guy or this. It's just I've seen for now it's basically ever since the Titans game, it's just been they start out slow. Like, I don't know if it's something to where after being 11-0, you kind of like take it for granted. You know what I'm saying? To where it's like you walk in and like we always look at like, oh, did they overlook the opponent and stuff like that? Like, I don't know if it's something like that, if it's something mentally, if you need to like rejuvenate the players,
it's
but like
almost like, if they had a bye week that they didn't get fucked out of, they would be
true.
in better shape right
Good.
now.
That is an interesting point. Their bye week was very early, a week 4 bye, that was earlier than everyone else's. So
And
like,
it wasn't really a bye week because they didn't find out it was a bye week until a Friday.
yeah, good point. So they were practicing all week. Then it's like, great, you have a few days off, and then boom, back to practicing for the next one. So I mean, that's a good point. That plays into it, but like,
And they got strung along this week for the game on Thursday, the game on Sunday, the game on Monday, the game on Tuesday, the game on Wednesday in the afternoon start time slot,
yeah,
which is something that almost never happens. So again, I don't put any stock into that. I don't give a shit about what you say. You can call them the worst 11-0, 12-0 team in the NFL history. I don't give a fuck. That doesn't mean anything. It just means that they're one of the best teams to ever play in the NFL because they made it to that point. So when you say, hey, they start slow, that's going to scare me, don't give a shit. What scares me is the fact that they struggled in the red zone against a depleted Ravens defense. The fact that they were down there. They marched on the field, handful of plays right off the bat in the game, no problem. Guess what? Turnover in the red zone. That was a go for it on 4th down because that was like a we don't give a fuck, we should win this game anyway moment.
Yeah.
And I'll give Tomlin and Ben the credit for the play call there. Just be like, yeah, it's 7 minutes left in the first quarter. We're just gonna go for it on 4th down. Like 3 points shouldn't make a difference this game. Might as well just take a shot in the end zone. The play got broken because their Juju fell down in the end zone, I believe. That was that play. It was either Juju or Ebron fell down in the end zone on his route. So the play got broken, and Ben just kind of back foot pedaled and just lobbed up a lollipop for them to intercept. Next time down the field, stopped in the red zone again. And that's my concern is that red zone offense. They can move the ball, no problem. This is a team that is offensively gifted. They've got weapons left, right, and center. Now that Deontay Johnson's back 100%, Ebron obviously hit or miss with the stone hand scenario. But like they've got weapons out there. So my concern goes back to now that they lost Bud Dupree, that defense, which has been elite, is now a question mark. They're not going to be bad by any means, but it's like, how much of a next man up mentality can you have? Obviously, look, they're still the best or the second best team in the NFL right now. When you're like, oh, I think the Bills or I think the what?
Well,
don't
I'm
give
not
a shit.
like it's the Bills wouldn't be one of those. I'm thinking more of like the Chiefs and the Titans. Those are the two teams I'm thinking of because to me, I would be worried about the slow starts. I would be worried about not getting it done in the end zone because those are important. I mean, you said the finishing when you're in the end zone, and I thought in my head, I chuckled a little bit, the John Madden of like, you can't score unless you put it in the end zone. Thanks, John. What else you got to say? But like, I feel like if it's Chiefs Titans,
Connor's not there.
Good point. He was out. He was out yesterday.
Not having him kind of sucks. I mean, Benny Snell, obviously he came through in moments, but like their run game all season has been hit or miss. So,
and the other thing I think of because you brought it up was basically all the COVID stuff, and on Twitter, some of the players have been vocal about it, and like they should be upset about it. Their season has been screwed because like the Ravens, they get pushed back because they just asked the league, and the league says yes. But if you're because you're a playoff team. But if you're Mike Tomlin, should your message to the team basically be like, yes, we've been screwed, but we got to forget that. Like, we can't fucking control any of that going on. Like, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, we could say the league's trying to screw us, but in the end, if we lose, we can't go ahead and blame it on that because the point is we lost. Like, should the message be to the team, just ignore it. Just ignore all of that. Mainly it is get ready for this game and do whatever you have to do to win the game. Like,
yeah, no, that's Tomlin's message all the time is just, we don't give a shit about the circumstances. We're just here to win one week at a time. Focus on that. Players are going to tweet and do whatever the hell they want on their own time, but like the message coming top down is very much, doesn't matter what happened. Like, our job is to win the game on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it is. It fucking doesn't matter. Our job is to go out there and win the game. And if we don't execute on that, then it doesn't matter what happened around that.
Yeah, this is a team, I will say my final thought with it is, will the Steelers go undefeated? I believe so. I know you mentioned, I think it was in the Discord or on one of our shows, you were like, fuck it, the Bengals will beat them in 2 weeks.
The game will happen. You know, that's the NFL is any given Sunday for any team. Yeah. Something can happen, whatever. Like, it's just something dumb will happen before the season's over, probably.
Yeah, I think their last 4 are, I'm going to pull it up. I know they play I think the Bills are next. Then they have the Bengals. Then they have somebody else in the Browns is who I think. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. Come on.
Isn't it Raiders first?
It could be the Raiders. This week
This
week they are playing Washington. They play Washington this week. So Washington, I think it's Washington, Buffalo. Yeah, Washington, Buffalo, Bengals, Indianapolis, and then the Browns.
Yeah, so I mean they've got really good competition all the way down the stretch. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion to say they're undefeated. So no, they earned it every week.
It comes down to the Indy game. That's like, I think the Bills play well, Bills lose. But I think that Indy game, if they're going to lose one, it'll be that Indianapolis game week 16.
There's another wild card for you.
Yeah.
If we get another sloppy snow fest of a game, what happens?
Because that game is in Pittsburgh.
If Connor's not available to go, what do you do? Big Ben, can he drop back, throw it still? You know, like lots of things to consider here. He's not just the Bills. Not just the Bills are a worse team than the Steelers or anything like that. A lot of stuff going on.
Good point.